Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Senior News Editor at Retail Insider. Joining me today is Daryl McMullen, who is Senior Vice President of Product and Platform at Mastercard in Canada. Thanks, Daryl, for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about a report that Mastercard has out regarding
Yeah.
commerce in the age of generative AI. So in general, what are the implications of generative AI in the world of retail and in the world of consumers as we move forward?
Yeah. Well, it can be a daunting process for some people who are not familiar with the technology. I think things like AI are an incredible emerging field that will be a layer of intelligence that will affect everything we do. It's one of those kind of unique waves or times in technology where we can bring a whole bunch of new capabilities, but along with it, a lot of new benefits. In many ways, I see it as kind of the evolution of where we've come over the last 20, 25 years on the adoption of the internet. If you think of over the last 20, 25 years, there isn't a day go by that people aren't intersecting in some form or another with the internet, whether they're trying to get directions on where they're going to, or they're trying to look up where they're going to eat one night, or they're trying to order food or book travel, or any of their kind of daily interactions in life, whether that be any sort of form of commerce or business or personal lifestyle. But I think the way to think about it is, so we've gone through this wave of, the early days, it was called the information superhighway. And now that there's this mass distribution of content. So if you think of what the search engine was to the internet, where you were allowed you to have access to all this information, and you can do a search and get access to that information a lot quicker. So the internet was like this massive library at your fingertips. Think of AI as your study buddy, that actually it's not about giving you the content, but it's actually or the content of the data, but it's giving you the insight or the answers that you're looking for. So it's taking all the content that's out there, refining it, and making it easier for you to digest all that content that's out there.
Now, as a consumer, I guess the potential here is just massive, right? Everything from me trying to find out what's a good bottle of wine that I'm going to have with my scallops tonight to I guess reviews, right? Reviews of stores and of products.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as a true foundation of a whole new wave of engagement and advancement economically as well. So the idea of being able to sift through and get the right product to the right person at the right time. There's direct interactive at a personal level that's generating the AI, or there's AI that's happening in the background for businesses to figure out how to engage with you. And whether we like it or not, it's happening already, and there's pros and cons to it, right? Like you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, that ad was so targeted towards me," or just that sort of keyword. On one level, you could say, "Oh, that's almost like a little scary on how targeted it is." But on the flip side of that as well, I don't see many irrelevant ads to me anymore. So I'm actually watching the ads because I find that they're actually more relevant for me, the ones that are targeted to me. So there's two sides of that equation. So it will start changing the engagement model between consumers and businesses, not just at when they're buying, but when they're doing other things. Like, to your point, I'm cooking dinner and I think you said scallops, I think it was your choice for tonight. Right, yeah, and then finding out the right sort of wine and having that sort of intersection there.
So, when we look at this and, the AI aspect of it, I guess the ability to personalize things becomes immense, right? Again, like just some of the examples we just gave, but even things like, I guess, clothing, right? Getting measurements and, to have the right fit. Isn't that what it's all about, is the personalization of this?
Yeah, you're spot on. I think there's a few different areas there. You will see, and we outline this in our report a lot more as well, on the kind of wave of personal shopping. And so, being able to have things like your measurements, or that you've purchased this fit from this store before. So instead of you trying to find your sizes are just presented to you. And that's, those type of elements that are in place. I think there are other categories as well. If you think of travel is an interesting category, right? Where travel, many moons ago, we would go to a travel agent to figure out how to book a vacation. The internet came along and made it very self-service, right? So I can book stuff myself. But there's pros and cons to that. There's tons of information that's out there, but there's so much information. People spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to actually book the travel. I think what we're going to start seeing more and more is the reinvention of the agent, but the agent is digital. And they can book a trip for you way more efficiently than you can trying to do something on your own. I just actually did that this morning. I was planning a trip with a couple of friends to Scotland. And I said, and one of the persons is a total planner. I said, you go do your plan. I'll go talk to my AI buddy here. And within minutes, I said, give me a 5-day itinerary across these three cities in Scotland. What are the highlights that I should do and see? It gave a complete route by route, the most efficient way to go see all of the different things. And I said, okay, great. 2 of the people are vegan. Can you give me vegan restaurant recommendations along the way? It gives the restaurant recommendations, the highlighted dishes that are on those, or the must-try dishes on those restaurants, giving optionality across the way. I had a 3-page detailed itinerary from leaving my house to getting home in less than 5 minutes.
Unbelievable. You got to wonder what goes through the minds of people older than us, right? And when they see what's happening in the world today, but it's all about convenience, right? Everything that we see these days in the world of business, it's all about convenience and streamlining things, etc. Why do you think that's occurred? Why is that trend so prevalent today?
Well, I think our digital footprint continues to expand. And again, this goes back to this first wave and generation of doing more on the internet. We've expanded the different things that we do and how we intersect and interact. You look at the financial services industry, for example. Historically, people used to bank with one bank and they had one bank account. Now they may have multiple bank accounts at different financial institutions or at fintechs. They have different brokerages. They have different financial planning and all that. And how do I make sense of all of that on top of all of my bills and budgeting and expenses? The idea of a generative AI being able to stitch all of these pieces together, be able to provide much richer, basically decluttering the process for you to understand your financial picture, understand financial insights, where you can be saving money, where you can be making more money. And so there's value and benefit perhaps for financial institutions, but more importantly for end users to be able to manage their financial life in a much more controlling way.
Now, Daryl, just the last thing I was going to ask is, now everything looks great, right? Everything, it's an exciting and interesting time. Everything's fantastic, etc. What are some of the challenges here? What are some of the I guess the maybe not so positive aspects of generative AI that we have to be aware of?
Well, so I think there's a few different things we have to, whenever you have any new technology, you're wanting to make sure that that technology is used in the right way. You want to make sure that technology is being used without bias. And the risks that you have on anything as well is making sure that misinformation is not spread quickly. And just as empowering as it can be for the good guys, it's a tool or a potential weapon for the bad guys as well, right? So whether it's impersonating you or impersonating people from frauds and scams and the like, Mastercard as a network is no stranger to managing fraud. We run one of the largest networks globally. We see hundreds of fraud attempts every second. around the world, and we've incorporated AI at many different levels of our systems to
Hmm.
be able to identify patterns, to be able to identify recognition, identify devices, how people are operating, intersecting, to be able to manage the fraud and protect end users.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Daryl, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, that was Daryl McMullen, who is Senior Vice President of Product and Platform at Mastercard in Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Senior News Editor with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.